Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I will be making my first raylib library game, which will be tic-tac-toe. Let's start the timer and begin programming. I will declare constant int for this window height and width. Now I'm gonna initialize the window using the values that I just created. And name it tic-tac-toe. Also at the end I'm gonna have to close window. Now let's create a while loop which is gonna go until the window will be closed. And here I'm gonna make the lines for the board. Also, before doing this, I should probably begin drawing, which I forgot to add, and clear background to black. Now we can check, and drawing, of course, and set target FPS. After I do this, we are gonna check if the lines look good or not. Alright, so I'm noticing that it doesn't look good because I must have messed up in the lines. I see where it is. Let me just fix it. Alright, let's try it out now. Alright, so this time the board seems pretty good. So now I'm gonna draw the boxes which are gonna act as buttons. And I'm gonna write the boxes in here because they're not gonna be drawn. They're only gonna be declared. And something is still wrong. I forgot to name it, of course. I'm just gonna name it 1. Alright, I figured out my mistakes. There's supposed to be an equals, and these are supposed to be these brackets. Now it works. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this over 8 more times. Rename this into 2. Alright, the names are done. Now just have to change the parts where they're at. Alright, now just for the time being, I'm gonna draw them so I can see them if they're in the right position. Yeah, okay, I have to add a rec here to do it like this. There we go. Now we're just gonna have to do this 8 more times just for the checking. Now just rename these again. Alrighty, the boxes are drawn, so let's check if they're in the right positions. Alright, as you can see, the squares are perfectly in place, which means we can get rid of the draw rectangle rec and start coding the logic. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of these since we're not gonna need this anymore. And now inside of here I'm gonna have to make the logic. Alright, so before this I'm gonna have to create a vector 2 to get the mouse position. Alright, I'm gonna do it like this. Mouse. Alright, now we can do if check collision point rec. Now I'm also gonna create a boolean in here. No, not boolean, a character instead. And I will make it so X starts. Alright, so I'm gonna need to create some text. I think an array will be good. A character, that should be occupier with 9, and we will set them all to spaces for now. And this will be set to the characters of the player that will be occupying that part. and now we also need to draw them. Alright, so it should be like this. Text format, open these, and a comma. Yep, that seems to work. Now just have to check for these, where I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna try putting them at like 35, 80, and let's do it white. Now to check if it looks good, I'm gonna change the one that I outputted to X. Save it. Now we can switch to the other and test it. Alright, so I think I'm just gonna move it over to the right by 10 pixels, and I hope that will be good. I'm just gonna make the rest of them and show it to you. Alright, now I'm gonna not build it yet. I'm gonna set all of these to some values so you can actually see it. Alright, now I'm gonna build it and show it to you. Alright, this will be good enough for now, and I'm gonna start doing the clicking logic. Alright, so now I have the character turned. Now I can actually do this. Alright, so this should be the basic logic. I'm gonna test if it works out on the very first square. But before that, I should probably also turn all of these into spaces. And I also have to do another thing, which is check if you're clicking on an empty space. Alright, now I can actually test it out. Alright, so if I click the first one, it switches to an X, and you also cannot turn into an O. So we'll just have to do that for the rest of the squares. Alright, and I'm just gonna be copying this over. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. I'm sure there is a better way to do it, but I don't know how, so I'm just gonna resort to doing this. Alright, now we can test this whole thing out. Alright, so and what exactly is the problem now? Alright, I'm gonna just turn this off for now and see if I can figure out what's wrong. Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot to change these. It keeps setting the value of the first square and not the one you're actually clicking. Alright, now build this and test it out again. Alright, let's see if it works. Yes, it does. I can click on the same square multiple times, and it keeps switching between these. Okay, now I have to check for the winning logic and a tie, and it should be over. Alright, then after this I'm gonna check for a tie first. So I'm gonna create a for loop. I'm gonna create a boolean. Which I'm actually gonna not put it here. I'm gonna put it here instead for a single reason. So it resets to true every time, and I'll tell you for that later. Alright, now I'm gonna check every occupier of I, and then it's supposed to be an if statement. If that occupier is set to this, then we can open this up and set all full to false. And then is there a way to get out of this whole thing? Oh, it should be good actually. Then after this I check if all full equals to true. I'm gonna create a winner variable, which will also be a character. It will be set to this, which is empty. Now if all full, we set winner to D, which will turn into draw later on. Alright, now the winnering logic, which is gonna take a while. Alright, this should work. Then we set the winner to occupier of 0, which will in this case be 1. Alright, now we can copy this, do it a couple more times, and just make it for every single line and column. Okay, these are all of the columns, lines now, do the columns. I'm gonna copy all of this. Alright, these should be all of the columns. Now the diagonals, which there are only 2 of. Alright, these should be all of these set up. Then here, I'm pretty sure at the end of this I should be able to do it like this. And I should be able to do close window, and the return 0 command seems to work. Now I just need to draw the winner screen or text. Alright, this doesn't seem to work. How do I do this? Alright, so apparently I should do it like this. Okay, let's see if it works. I'm gonna rewrite this because the guide disappeared at the top. Alright, now the X position will be 10 for X and 135, 80, white. There is still that. That's because I missed a comma. Let's see if at least this works. Okay, let's see. There is an 125. Okay, this is supposed to be 3. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's supposed to be, no, it's supposed to be 3, 5, 3. Alright, let's try again. No errors. Okay, let's see. Alright, so I just did off camera and it immediately closes when the winner is found. So I guess I'm gonna have to get rid of that and make it so you cannot click when the winner is already something declared. This should work. Now I just have to add this to each of these. Alright, I'm gonna check it again and test it off camera first. So what I figured out is I have to change the font size so it isn't that big, say 50, should be fine. And then this, why did I set it to 100? No one knows. Okay, so X, Y width is supposed to be 350. Let's test it out again. I'm pretty confident it will work. Alright, I figured another mistake out. I have to move this over to here and test it out again. Alright, it works. So before showing it to you, I'm gonna do the same for X and for draw. And for O, because X works just fine, which is very good. Okay, now at the end of this, if... No, not winner, if... Alright then, change this. Don't need the text format anymore, since it's just gonna say draw exclamation mark for fun. Alright, now if this works, it will hopefully be the finished version, and I'll show it to you. Alright, it works perfectly. So for example, I'm gonna make X win on a diagonal. There we go, winner X, and you cannot click anything. Now I'm gonna show you O winning. So for example, in a line, there we go, winner O, you cannot click anything, and just the draw left. Alright, so I'm gonna make it a draw. And there you go, draw. So this means that it works perfectly. Now you can see the final time, which took me, so it took about maybe 4 to 5 minutes or an hour. And you can see all of this code, which all works perfectly to create my first game with the raylib library. It could probably be made a lot more efficient with a lot less lines, but it still works. So 191 lines with 6,563 characters. Alright, so thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.